I mean, I'll be honest. In his defense, I run a 20-kilometer torps because have you played random battles lately?
Yeah.
Everybody
Right.
is way the hell in the back.
Either they're running away from you,
Mm-hmm.
which means 12s are useless,
Mm-hmm.
or they're running towards you because you're running your ass away from 12 different ships.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if you're running 8s, 12s, or 20s. You just need to send something.
I
True.
mean, it matters because the reaction times are massively different.
Well, let's take a look at Rob's build anyways. Obviously, he could go for the 12 kilometers, which is typically, I guess you could consider it to be the standard, right? The 93s are what you start with. Most people will run the 12s, and people who are nuts will run the 8s. But
With the
let's,
legendary module.
yeah, okay,
That's
so,
a fact.
and I actually did that in one season of Ranked, and it was hilarious. Okay, so anyways, so you've got the 20-kilometer torpedoes. Okay, fine. Let's take a look at your build. You are running main armaments, you're running engine room, you're running torpedo modification 1. You've got propulsion, concealment, and torp modification 2. All of this is fine. I don't see a problem with any of these upgrade choices. This third one here especially enhances your torpedo speed, so that's going to help with your 20-kilometer torpedoes. Makes them a little bit harder to be dodged. Ed Erniquez, oh my god, it's been a while, dude. How you doing? Madam Jesse, thank you very much. And I also need to thank Bao Netter to do. Okay, so let's take a look. Rob, is this a special captain or just a regular?
I think it's just a regular. I don't.
Okay.
The only special one I have is Yamamoto, and I have that on my Yamato.
Okay. The Suzukis are really good choices. They were added kind of without much fanfare. I think you can get one for coal, the other one you get for doubloons. The nice thing about them is that they add survivability expert boosts. So if you are looking for a permanent destroyer captain, that comes in very handy. But for standard captain, why grease the gears to start?
I am not entirely sure.
I have it too on my shimmy, but it's my last 21st point.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't
I
take it
am-
earlier. The
I wouldn't either.
Torpedoes is horrible
I
on
think I
the shimmy.
took it out
on
one
all-
point to see if it was useful and forgot to take it off.
it is useful, but like it delays getting your probably more important skills. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't take it early.
I wouldn't either. Preventive
And the other
maintenance.
thing, like if you like the ship, what you could consider like in the module slot, like running the speed boost module, and obviously the legendary module is actually pretty good.
That here,
No, second slot.
second slot. I knew it was one of them. There, yeah, sure. That's fine. And engine. I
But
mean,
if
right
you
now
don't
the
want to spend the coal for it, then like obviously the engine room protection is great.
right. So, anyways, preventative maintenance you definitely want. Last stand you definitely want. You chose adrenaline rush. Okay, you could do that. I would go survivability first, but
No,
okay.
AR is bad. You need a survivability expert. Like that allows you to eat a torpedo and live.
Right.
Yeah, adrenaline rush is a skill I take, but later. Like I would even take the torp reload before the adrenaline rush on the shimmy.
Mm-hmm. So
It was
Last stand-
standard destroyer loadout, which
I think this is an error in the description. It doesn't add time for for rudder shift, right?
No, it doesn't.
No, this is it's a weird wording. It means like, if your rudder would get knocked out without the last stand, you wouldn't have rudder at all.
Yeah.
If you have the last stand skill, you do have your rudder, but it's 100, like it's twice as slow as your regular rudder.
Right.
That's what it means. So
Right.
I think rudder shift on a shimmy is like 2.9 or so. So if it gets knocked out and you have last stand, you have your rudder at 5.8 or whatever it is.
So, survivability definitely, I think, is so, preventive maintenance, last stand, survivability, concealment. Like, that's the core build for most especially stealthy destroyers, that I typically recommend. After that, then you can go for Adrenaline Rush. Other ones that are very handy for Shimakaze especially, Swift and Silence to move quicker, reposition quicker is very handy. Radio location is also helpful for knowing where your nearest target is. This is very helpful for pre-aiming your guns in the direction of what you would expect to be a destroyer that might otherwise try to surprise you.
Yeah, it's also mandatory if you run the legendary mod, because the traverse time of the torpedoes gets slower, and you basically want to be aimed correctly at all times. So relocation helps you to know where the nearest target is. Swift and Silence is okay. It depends how often you want to use your guns, because for destroyers, Swift and Silence unfortunately makes the guns worse.
Right. But if you only use torpedoes, you don't care about that so much.
Yeah, but you should use your guns on the shimmer.
Yep. SAT, welcome to the discussion. And how good is Dazzle in a Shimakaze? No good at all. Chief Bottle Washer, thanks for the follow. I would say in a destroyer where you are expecting to be spotted more often, Dazzle has more merit. But
Dazzle on one of my destroyers. I can't remember which one. But it's not the
Shimmer. No, you don't take it in the shimmer.
I could see an argument for like a British destroyer, a French destroyer, maybe Russian gunboat, but like the problem with Dazzle is that there's so many other skills that are objectively better. Like if you're going to go gun build, I would much rather have main battery and anti-air expert to get the extra range in my gun build destroyer. So Dazzle is just, it's one of those, it's just hard to find a really good use of it.
I think I have it in my Sherman with Dazzle, but then again, I do tend to get shot on a lot.
I have Dazzle on my German destroyers. I have it on the Grossevoy. But
See that.
Not on stealthy torpedo boats.
For Shimakaze, are there any other skills that are worth considering? Fill the tubes, perhaps? I mean, you can go up the torpedo line.
Yeah, I mean the standard destroyer build, if you'd had it, would be like probably preventive maintenance, last stand, survivability expert, concealment expert, then radio location, then torp reload, then adrenaline rush, and then you have 1 point left over, which kind of makes sense for grease the gears on a shimmer, because if you would tend to use your guns, then having the turret traverse a little bit better helps. Could take incoming fire alert to know when you're getting shot at. Liquidator, the flooding chance is already quite high, so I don't think you need it on a Shimakaze. If you were in a Holland instead, I would definitely take it.
Right. Otherwise, most of the rest of this isn't helpful.
This is kind of a standard torpedo build.
Yep.
What you're showing right now.
Yep. And when you guys are saying, oh, I would expect him to have a 16-pointer, Valiant, I think you mentioned that. Honestly, this is nice because it's highlighting somebody that doesn't have like a ridiculously high point captain. And it reminds all of us that, hey, when people grind the ship, sometimes, you know, they have lower point captains. In my opinion, all you really need to unlock the full power of Shimakaze is a 10-pointer. Everything else adds to your utility, but for the most part, you can have fantastic games with a 10-point captain, and you're good. You don't think 16 points is that high? I mean, if people are working up lines and just don't have much to put into them, 16 points is quite high. But anyway, Rob, no flags?
I keep forgetting Blomont.
Okay. All right. So Rob is not wearing protection. And you're also naked.
There's no death pick in this one, by the way.
Oh, okay. Just gonna ask you about that. In the meantime,
who did play the game for you?
Good luck, everyone.
Joey's got 4 to 6 pointers. If you're newer to the game, hey, that's just part of it.
I mean, if you grind through the line and drag the captain with you, it's like you will have at least 10 points at the higher tiers.
Yeah,
and if you try to keep your ship and you want to keep the captain on the ship you have, you should really invest commander XP. Like, don't play a high tier ship without a 10-point captain. You're you're just hurting yourself a lot.
All right, so let's take a look at this particular replay. Carriers involved: Nakima versus Ilman. No subs. So, and this is Crashstone Alpha. So, I don't like that the Oland is abandoning the flank. That makes me feel like you're gonna have to play there. Benson Yukumo going up to Delta. I would love to play Shimakaze up at Delta. So, unfortunate you can't go up there, but makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine playing on the AB's line too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he's not going for the middle here.
Yes, I agree.
For multiple reasons. There's obviously the CV, there's lots of radar ships. And with the Oland leaving the other flank, I think you really want to be out there and provide some spotting there.
Yep.
So
Or
I
leaving
like that
the-
you're going over. Ideally, though, like in a normal game, you would like to have the Oland stay and then you can play for the C cap.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, like that you go over, I think is very good.
Yep. The nice thing with you having the 20-kilometer torpedoes is, I mean, you could sail all the way down to the J line and your torpedoes can still hit things.
What I would do here, though, I would probably not go that
By the
close
island?
to the island.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. It
I
limits
might
your
have been
room for
tapped out here.
maneuvering.
I could be wrong, but I might have been tapped out at this point.
Why are you tapped out at the start of a game
I
when
think I
you're
was trying
about
to pause
to?
a video and was struggling.
Okay.
Like,
Wall
the
of
problem
skill.
with going so close to the island is like if the enemy destroyer throws torps here and they cross right this corner that you just passed, you
Yeah.
see them way too late.
Yep.
And also
Oh,
with the
Yeah.
CV spotting you, you're forced to turn in only one direction because you can't turn the other way.
yeah. The other part of it is if that had that Ragnar moved south, that could have quickly ended you. You know, like he
Yeah.
could spot it, he radars because he can stealth radar. Why did you dump all your 20s at the Neptune of all ships?
I think mostly area denial.
Okay. So the reason I'm bringing that up is Neptune, in my opinion, your 20-kilometer torpedoes are not for ships like the Neptune, right? Especially right now. He's spotted. You know he's going to be ducking and weaving and dodging. So in my opinion, your 20 kilometers, yes, you could do area denial, but you also want to use them towards your battleships. I paused it here because you're looking like you want to use your guns. If you do, then you need to be slowing down so you can smoke and use your guns for some free shots on the Elephant task, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, I would shoot here too. Like the enemy support from the Fantask is far in the back. You have the what is it, Carno, I think, right next
Carno.
to you.
Yep.
And the Fantask basically has no chance of going dark.
Mm-hmm.
So I would try to shoot and kill it before the Fantask has a chance to maybe rush your Carno or whatever he's trying to do here. I think it's safe to shoot here. And as Sas said, you always have the chance to smoke and go dark if
Yeah.
you really need to.
Right.
Much obliged.
Right. I would definitely not. I would definitely stop and smoke and shoot. I wouldn't just open up with my guns. You're waiting until the very end, which, okay, you can do that. With Elephant task, you don't want to be shooting out in the open because he can just main battle reload boost you potentially, and then all of a sudden you're down half health, which is great for adrenaline rush. You're gonna engine boost instead. So you are now a Japanese destroyer cosplaying as a French destroyer. Okay. It worked out in your favor here.
Yeah, very, very questionable play from that Fantask.
He gave you the kill, so, you know, thank him, send him some PayPal later, and move on.
I think it was Massachusetts that killed him, but
I mean,
You
he
did
killed
7,000
himself.
damage to him. So
Yeah. He killed himself. You all just helped him. I mean, that's it. So now I want to ask you, Rob, how are you going to get back into this game? Because that kill pulled you way down south.
well, my plan was to go up towards A and use my concealment to maybe sneak a cap.
Okay. Now, it just got spotted again, but I would say the biggest threat to you is going to be that Ragnar. But he got spotted, so you can absolutely get away with this. I might look to use my 20-kilometer torpedoes and torpedo up this channel right here, up the 4 line. Because Pommern, Monarch, Neptune are all headed that way. Ragnar's there too. That's a very good opportunity for your torpedoes to hit something.
Yeah, I think, like, if you plan to go into the A cap, which I agree with, I think you want to throw your guns and your torps around to the right side already.
Yep.
Because you really don't want to make a right turn on your ship.
Yep.
In that case, like, you have the 20-kilometer torps, you want to go, like, you have completely open path into the back line of the ships, so...
I was
go there
actually...
and position yourself so you can actually shoot towards the right side of your ship.
Yep, I was actually fixing to mention that just now, so I'm glad you guys... SAT also caught that at the same time. Maybe you're tabbed out watching your video again. At least your anti-air's off. That's a good thing. Okay, now you see... Yep, you tabbed out. You're tabbed back in now. You're like, oh, what's going on now? Were you tabbing out when you were divvying with me earlier today, Rob?
Is that how you die
Usually
all the
when
time?
Usually when I die, I tab out or something.
You're not dead right now, though.
I think I heard a sound on my computer that was concerning,
Oh.
but I
Okay.
could have also just not been paying attention.
Okay. I got a knot there. I got to work out later with the brush. Now here, you don't want to go in the cap because you don't want to alert the Pommern that you are there. Because he'll use his, you know, hydro if he knows there's a destroyer in the area. That being said, I don't think your torps have a chance of hitting because he kind of fired behind him.
I was expecting him to slow down.
If you were that Pommern, would you slow down knowing that there's a Massachusetts, Carnot, Musashi, Puerto Rico, Kurfürst all down there? Aim to misbehave. Thank you much.
Well, I usually expect them to do the unexpected, so.
Ah.
Is
You are actually kind of lucky this bomber turns away.
yeah.
Charges you down in the smoke here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe his hydro, maybe his hydro is down now and that's why he doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But he could have done it.
Absolutely.
Alle Stationen, melde Position eines strategischen Ziels.
Now
Trying
those
to start a
torpedoes...
fire.
Those torpedoes missed the Pommern, but there's always a chance they might hit the Aegir or the Monarch, and that's, again, why the 20s are so fun. And why, in my opinion, if you're going to play with the 20s, you're always firing them on cooldown, if you can help it. You're just going to luck check them like mad. I'd get out of the smoke here and just get into the A-cap. You've already announced your presence. So, Palmer knows you're there. Monarch knows you're there. Aegir knows you're there. Just go take the cap and go torpedo their carrier.
That was part of my plan here, because as you were saying that, I was leaving the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got the fire from the smoke, which is nice, but yeah, now leaving it and actually getting the cap is a good idea.
I'm expecting
You
him
need to
turn.
you need to stop switching between your torps and guns while you're targeted on the ship, though.
If they have already target, it goes down, down, or down, up, down. Either way, kind of lets them know. Oh,
Yeah. Also, why did you dump all your 15 torpedoes onto a Monarch that is like at 2,000 hit points?
right.
I think I was paying attention to his HP.
Feuer auf festgelegtes
I mean, more importantly, you're shooting it too.
Yep.
My idea was he's the only would be spotting me at this point, so when he dies,
But you already
go
had the
spotted.
torps out on
What,
him.
what we're saying, the
anyway.
torpedoes are out, so you just told them, hey, I torped you, but I'm gonna shoot you anyways.
Mm-hmm. Now, if that was a battleship with a super healed, he very possibly could have super healed. And now he's got, 10,000, 12,000 hit points to where you really want a torpedo to hit. But again, because you telegraphed, hey, dude, I'm torping you, he dodges it.
I mean, I would have personally dropped one set on him, then potentially dump torps.
Mm-hmm.
one set of torps, then shot, and then torp somebody else running away.
Yeah, the problem is with everybody running away, you're probably not going to get much out of these torps. What you want is in a Shimakaze, you want the enemy to push you, especially with your 20s. But even with 12s, you want the enemy to push you.
I'm ready for this DD taking a 12 here.
Yakizuki? I mean,
That would've been
that's Rob's
glorious.
best chance, right? That's his best hope, is if that happens. Honestly, what I would have done is I would have gone up to 20-kilometer range of the Nakimav's last spotted and fired off one torpedo salvo at that Nakimav. Because if the Nakimav is still there, that's free damage.
I also wouldn't have gotten this cap because now you're just gonna end the game quicker, which means you can't farm PR as fast.
Ah, the SAT school of XP earning. Now you're, again, torping and being
Stop
impatient.
switching to your guns and then
shooting.
shooting. At this point, just play a gunboat, DD. You'll be better off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you knew you were within a secondary range. I mean, this
And
ain't even
yeah.
playing with your food. This is just not being intelligent.
Yeah, and again, it's all 15 torps onto a ship that was so low already. And you're not even spreading them out to increase your
Torps
chances
were on the
of hit.
Montana,
Like,
actually.
They run the Montana?
If I remember correctly, I shot those
Okay.
in general
I
direction.
mean,
of
they
the
do look like
Montana's
they're on a
direction.
Montana.
It could be a
And
replay
then knock them
bug.
off.
I thought they were white lined on the jumbo. Maybe.
I
on
mean,
the
it's
combo,
corpse
I
in
mean.
the way, so there's gonna be a nice Montana-sized gap now.
Also Stalingrad way up there.
Well,
Give you
might get
hell?
A couple on a Monty.
Yeah, so he's gonna be hurting. There you go. This is the one reason I enjoy the 20s. You just fire them and then later you get this kill and you're just like, what happened?
Pretty sure he'd gotten that hit with 12s too.
He would have gotten a hit with 8s, but
No, he
I mean,
wouldn't.
No. It was not with 8s.
well, no, he just gets closer. Like that Monty wasn't gonna do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay. I just mean from the same position he fired, he would have gotten it with 12s.
See, my attitude is I'd rather have the 20s because if I need them, I've got them, and if I don't have them and I need them, I'm screwed.
You can't always get close
But-
enough, even against
but
radar,
he-
to fire 12s.
But it's not the radar; it's the fact that everybody's just running. Like this game would have been an example
Okay,
if they
but-
all just ran away.
But the thing is,
But if you're
everybody's
close enough for 12s or like if you just get close enough, it doesn't matter. 12s, 8s, 20s, you're nuking a target. Right? And how many times do you launch your torps at something, they miss, and next thing you know, there are 2 dead ships because they didn't respect 20-kilometer torps.
See, but
can
the only
happen.
people you kill with 20s are people that are under threat anyway because they're not good at the game.
They might not be a threat to you.
Yeah, and see, here's the thing too with 20s that a lot of people discount, especially I've seen in clan battles. 20s reach so far back that a lot of people think that they're safe. They don't have to pay attention to torps or anything like that, and they completely zone out when they hear the torpedo sound, and boom, they get hit.
Yeah, see, okay, but the competitive environment and the competitive gameplay that is a bit more stationary anyway is a completely different thing. I can see the 20s there because, like, if you get close and fire your 12s and you get maybe caught with a radar, so everybody's shooting you back because it's coordinated environment and you're at much higher risk.
Yeah. See, here's the
In a
problem.
random battle, I really don't see the need for it. You can almost always get close enough to fire your 12s. And even if you get raided in the process, like you're getting shot by 1 or 2 ships and you're still getting out.
The thing is, you have to keep in mind too, with a ship like the Krusty, thank you for the follow, with a ship like the Shimakaze, you don't start with all 3 of the torpedo options unlocked. You have to play the Shimakaze or free XP the 12-kilometer torpedoes. So, I mean, honestly, use what you got. If you don't have the free XP available, and also you have to buy with the credits too, right? So if you don't have the XP or credits, you're gonna use the 20s by default anyway. In this situation, regardless of Rob's decision making going into the battle, he's got the 20s, right? So I think the focus for this replay needs to be on how to best use those 20s. And we saw him defeat himself twice by shooting with guns after using those torpedoes. I think that's
And
the
one of the ships he shot at was a secondary build ship. Like, and you knew you were within secondary range.
Mhm.
It's like the problem is like here in this case, like he shouldn't even have torped the ships he shot in the first place because they were so low. He
Sure.
could have just torped something else and just used the guns against those ships.
So while we've been talking about the possibility of 20-kilometer torpedoes to hit ships that are in the backfield, maybe we also need to be highlighting to Rob, look at the ships that are in the backfield that you have a better chance of hitting because they're in the backfield, and aim for them. If you hit something in between, hey, that's a bonus, but the ships that are in the front lines are already low anyway, so why bother torping them, right?
Right.
So, initial engagement, right? Lift and task. Stop, smoke, and shoot for free. Get him off the board. Why risk the chance of taking the damage? Moving forward, torp up the 4 line because you cover so much area with your torpedoes up that 4 line. The third thing is your torpedo spreads are very tight. We've been trained to think that the narrow spread is the best spread in this game. But when you're firing things at 20 kilometers, sometimes it might be better to go for a little bit more of a gap in your 3 launchers to get what we call the wall of skill, which means that there's less area, less opportunities for ships to dodge out of torpedoes. They'll take one, more regularly, at least one.
Yeah, or you just stagger them and try to get a permanent flood, and like you just fire 2 and then you wait 10-15 seconds and fire your second set or your last set.
Right. Rob, look at that. I just paused it here. Take a look at that torpedo spread. You're almost at the maximum 20-kilometer range, and they're still on top of each other. Not only that, but they completely missed 3 enemy ships. They went between 3 enemy ships. So, had you spread them out a little bit more, ideally, if you're thinking of area denial with these 20-kilometer torpedoes, you want them in a full line across, right? You don't want one stacked up on the next. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 torpedoes that could have been better, allocated. That could have meant a torpedo hit on the A gear, the Monarch, or the Pomeranian in the process.
I wouldn't widespread and overlap them.
I wouldn't
I would
either.
just farrow the narrow spread, but don't make that narrow spread overlap.
What I like to do is if I'm looking at a target, and I did this today, if I'm looking at a target and it's farther off or closer, doesn't matter with the torpedoes, I like to fire one rack in front, then work back onto the line, figuring that if a ship is going forward, they see the torpedoes, their instinctive result is to slow down and turn. So if you work back into that, then you can catch them as they turn.
If the instinct result of a battleship was to slow down and turn when they see torpedo, the average battleship player would be better.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm just saying, like, the first torpedo they see is in front of them, so they're either going to go straight into them or what have you. But the point is, you're casting a net with your torpedoes. You have to think about, you're going fishing with your torpedoes, you're casting your net. What are you going to come up with?
What I like to do with the 20s is you got that line in the middle of your white line.
Mm-hmm.
I do one that's half in, half out, right in front.
Mm-hmm.
One that half in, half out behind.
Mm-hmm.
And then a white line, the middle, widespread. or as I like to call it, the SAT guaranteed to win cot spread,
Cot spread, best spread. Yep.
right? Because if it's going the distance, they're going to spread out so much that now that middle spread covers up some of the gap between the other two sets.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm still a fan of just delaying the last set.
Yeah, there's
Like-
nothing wrong with that either. I would say, like Coughlin, I would say that if you're kiting Shimakaze, that's a great way to play it. And we saw that in COTS last weekend to great effect. I think it was Chukwama that was doing that. You fire one rack, wait about 20 to 30 seconds, fire the next rack, wait about 20, 30 seconds, fire the third. It's fantastic if you are being pushed. If you're chasing, maybe it's not as helpful, but
But I mean, I think Rob's biggest problem is I'm going to torp this ship,
Mhm.
and now I'm going to shoot this ship.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Like, if you're going to torp it, don't shoot it. If you're going to shoot it, don't torp it.
Yeah.
I've been
Right? Like,
trying.
you can send one set on it. Like, say it was a Conqueror, right? You're probably better off shooting it because you don't want the super heal,
Hmm.
but send one set just in case
Mhm.
he
But the
does.
thing is, like-
and if he does get the super heal, you have 2 more sets of torpedoes to deal with them while you try to go dark.
Mhm.
Or the thing is, like, if you shoot a ship that has a lot of hit points still, and you want to torp and shoot it, like, don't torp it on the white line and then start shooting, because chances are high the ship is gonna turn.
Yeah.
Like, make a prediction in which direction he's turning and fire the torps there.
A lot of really good destroyer players can bait enemies into turning. In other words, they fire their torpedoes, they wait until the torpedoes are just close enough, then they open fire, knowing that the enemy battleship or whatever their target is going to turn. And that forces them to turn right in front of all the torpedoes as they try to get their rear turrets off on you, and then you nail them. So that's a really good skill that, frankly, I don't even have mastered myself in a stealth destroyer like Shimakaze or Kamikaze, stuff like that.
The thing is, like, you can predict, like, it's very hard to predict the
Yeah.
random battleship player because they don't know what they're doing. So how are you supposed to know what they're doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're very true. Okay. I don't want to beat a dead horse, so I think we've covered this replay at this point, yeah?
I'm pretty sure there's no Yamato to pick on.